Are you ready for an eviction catastrophe that could shake the very foundations of our society? The end of pandemic era protections has set the stage for a housing nightmare. In this video, we'll dive deep into the looming eviction crisis that threatens millions of American homes and the dire consequences it could have on our lives.
We have been helping landlords and renters understand the eviction moratoria since the beginning.
As a federal rental assistance money runs out and eviction moratoriums come to an end, we're beginning to see a surge in eviction filings across the country. More than half of the counties tracked by Legal Services Corporation reported eviction filings above historical averages in August or September. With rising rents and soaring inflation, housing experts predict that the worst is yet to come. Many Americans who relied on these protections are now facing the harsh reality of a post-pandemic world, struggling to pay their rent and keep a roof over their heads. As the federal government's financial assistance dries up, states and local governments are scrambling to find ways to help their residents. But the demand for assistance far outstrips the available resources. This spells disaster for millions of renters who are now more vulnerable than ever to losing their homes. During the first year of the pandemic, evictions plummeted due to federal moratoriums and emergency rental assistance. However, with less than $7 billion out of the initial $46.5 billion remaining, over 7 million renters are left scrambling to keep a roof over their heads. The anxiety around housing affordability is reaching a boiling point, and it's beginning to impact the wider economy. As the eviction crisis unfolds, the ramifications are being felt far beyond just the renters themselves. Homelessness rates are expected to rise, putting increased strain on already overburdened social services. The uncertainty and anxiety around housing stability can lead to a negative impact on mental health, job performance, and even children's educational outcomes. With such a massive number of Americans at risk, the eviction crisis has hit the potential to send shockwaves through the entire country. Behind every eviction filing, there's a heartbreaking story. From families struggling to make ends meet to single parents working multiple jobs, millions of Americans are living in fear of losing their homes. As rents continue to skyrocket, low-income renters are facing an unprecedented housing crisis that threatens their physical and mental health, as well as their children's education and future. The eviction process itself can be traumatic, as families are uprooted from their communities and forced to find new housing, often in unfamiliar and less than ideal conditions. The disruption to daily life can have lasting effects, particularly on children who may suffer from the instability and uncertainty that comes with losing their homes. For the most vulnerable members of our society, including seniors, people with disabilities, and those with limited resources, the consequences of eviction can be even direr, potentially leading to homelessness, health complications, or worse. In cities like Phoenix, eviction filings have reached their highest levels since 2016. With median asking rents soaring by 24% year over year in June, countless families are being pushed to the brink. As more and more people find themselves unable to keep up with rent payments, aftershocks will be felt throughout entire communities. Small businesses may suffer as displaced families are forced to cut back on spending, and neighborhoods can experience a decline in property values and community cohesion. Additionally, as affordable housing becomes scarcer, cities struggle to find solutions to accommodate the growing number of displaced residents. This can lead to overcrowding in available housing units, further exacerbating the problem and creating homelessness, and the increased demand for social services, such as food banks and shelters, puts additional strain on already stretched municipal resources. Many cities are struggling to develop and implement effective measures to combat the crisis, including affordable housing initiatives and emergency rental assistance programs. However, these efforts often fall short in addressing the scale of the problem. Furthermore, as the eviction crisis continues to escalate, public health concerns arise. With families doubling up cramped living spaces or resorting to homeless shelters, the risk of infectious disease transmission, such as COVID-19, is heightened. This not only places additional pressure on local healthcare systems, but also further endangers vulnerable populations, particularly those with pre-existing health conditions. The eviction crisis also undermines educational outcomes for children, as unstable housing situations disrupt their access to consistent schooling and support. This can lead to long-term consequences on their academic achievement, future employment prospects, and overall well-being. As the eviction crisis escalates, lawmakers, housing advocates, and industry experts are scrambling to find solutions to alleviate the mounting pressure on renters and communities. Some of the proposed solutions include implementing stronger tenant protections, expanding affordable housing options, and offering emergency rental assistance in state and local levels. However, the implementation of these solutions faces challenges such as political opposition, funding limitations, and bureaucratic red tape. Innovative approaches such as tiny home communities, rent control policies, and housing cooperatives are being explored as potential alternatives to traditional affordable housing models. While no single solution can solve the eviction crisis overnight, it's clear that urgent action is needed to address the critical issue and prevent it from spiraling out of control. As the eviction crisis continues to unfold, it's essential for renters to be proactive and take steps to prepare for potential challenges. Here are some strategies to help protect yourself and your family in the face of rising rents and the risk of eviction. Understand your rights. Familiarize yourself with local eviction laws and tenant rights, as these vary by state and municipality. Knowing your rights can empower you to negotiate with your landlord, seek legal assistance if necessary, and protect yourself from unlawful eviction practices. Maintain open communication with your landlord. Establishing a good rapport with your landlord can be valuable when facing financial difficulties. Be transparent about your situation and work together to create a payment plan or negotiate temporary rent relief if possible. Create a budget and emergency fund. Access your finances, create a budget, and prioritize building an emergency fund to cover at least 3 to 6 months worth of living expenses. This can provide a safety net in case of job loss, illness, or other unforeseen circumstances that may impact your ability to pay rent. Seek rental assistance. Research available rental assistance programs at the federal, state, and local levels. These programs can provide temporary financial aid to help cover rent, utilities, and other housing-related expenses. Explore affordable housing options. Investigate affordable housing options in your area, such as subsidized housing or income-based apartments. Even if you don't currently qualify, being aware of these options can be helpful should your financial situation change. Connect with local resources. Reach out to local non-profit organizations, housing advocates, and social service agencies. They can offer guidance, support, and resources to help you navigate the challenges of the eviction crisis. Stay informed. Keep up to date with news and policy changes that may affect your housing situation. This can help you anticipate potential challenges and better prepare for the future.
Protections for minimum amounts before a landlord can move forward with an eviction.
The United States is on the brink of an eviction catastrophe, with millions of renters at risk of losing their homes. As the crisis unfolds, the time for action is now. We must come together as a nation to address this urgent issue and support those who are most vulnerable. By advocating for policy changes, supporting local organizations, and raising awareness about the eviction crisis, we can help create a more just and equitable housing landscape for all Americans. The stakes have never been higher, and our collective response will shape the future of housing in our country for generations to come. So what do you think? Is the worst over, or is it yet to come? Let us know in the comments down below.